$4.5 million a year in property tax, and $1.5 million or a little bit more than that in sales tax is what we have right now.
How's that grown over the last, say, 2 years?
Quite a bit. Sales tax has gone up a lot. There's a legislative change that Amazon is now paid to sales tax at cities where the products are delivered rather than where they're fulfilled. So that has benefited us. And with all the tax growth in both numbers of homes coming to the city and the value of the homes coming to the city has increased, so our property tax has increased substantially over the last few years as well.
Perfect. So to add to that, the Amazon tax he's speaking of, it's called destination sales tax. So when you buy something on via e-commerce, the tax is paid on where it's going, not where it's being bought and shipped from. Another thing with the Hillwood property, as well as other properties in our ETJ, we're working on SPAs, special purpose annexation, which will allow us to capture some of those even outside our city limits. Again, adding to our bottom line in the city and possibly lowering how much we're responsible, or how much of our budget is based upon property taxes.
What happens if the individual bonds don't pass? What are the issues? For example, if Prop A doesn't pass and we don't have a city hall, the seniors facility will continue to be here, which means that we continue to shuffle. For example, during election season, the senior center is used by the voting machines. Everything is there, which means that the seniors have to come here. And if you are cold or hot, so will they. And we'll continue to do that. We'll continue to have the same issues that Chief Frida mentioned with the police station. We'll continue to have the same limitations. And further, we will continue to be limited to the quality and the quantity of services that we'll be able to provide in this facility.
So just some of the verbiage on the bonds, you'll recognize if Proposition A does not pass, but Proposition B does, we cannot really do much with Proposition B because this building has to be vacated. We'll get to your question, I promise. This building had to be vacated in order to build this building as a civic center. It can't be City Hall or Civic Center. And so if Proposition A passes, but Proposition B fails, then that's a different story. But if Proposition B passes and Proposition A fails, that could be that would definitely create a challenge. It is what it is. So our newest city councilman, Councilperson Lenny Kugel, she's been begging for the spotlight. So.
First, I just want to thank all of you for attending tonight and having interest in becoming more informed about this bond. I know, there's a Rangers game on. You guys are spending your night with us. I really appreciate that, and that really speaks volumes to you guys' dedication to our city. The first question we have is, will the work currently underway behind AutoZone, is that the current location? So I believe that is, yes, the current location of our proposed Proposition A. And then the secondary question to follow up with that was, how is it funded? So that was funded in 2018, I believe, and it was from a certificate of obligation.
Go ahead.
I have one more. I'm not done. I waited patiently.
No, we'll let you go through it. It's fine.
Okay. The second question I have is pretty good, and I think it's going to be a question that a lot of you have. Is the bond package do you have an example based on the home value of what the tax burden will be? Example, if your home value is $650,000, what is the tax burden going to be? There is a calculator on the bond website it's a spreadsheet, and you can plug in the value of your home and that will tell you exactly what that is going to be. Thank you.
Councilman Mounts.
Can you give them an estimate, since that's really not answering the question?
We'll take all these questions. We're not trying to dodge a question.
It's just that everybody here might have their own specific value.
No, we're saying the question that was there wasn't
So
answered.
for a $650,000 home, do we know what each individual bond will cost. Do we have that number? We don't have that
You
number
don't have
available.
for each individual bond.
I haven't run the calculator on all that.
Well, can we have that, please, can somebody figure that out?
So,
Post that
so,
on
the
website?
answers to the, let me answer. So,
Miles, you have the calculator.
So the
correct,
questions that, so we probably will not get to all the questions tonight. I mean, it's up to y'all, it's respecting your time. It is 7:30. There are numerous questions. There's some that, we don't have the ability to answer tonight because we'd have to do all the calculations on spot. So what we are doing is while we collected these, and we asked for your names and your addresses, email addresses, is we will be recording these and posting responses online. So if we can't get to the answer tonight, it will be posted online.
And to be fair, for your question, just to be fair, the $640,000 home doesn't speak to everybody, and it'd be for one bond, not for 8 or 4, because it could be 8 years. Based on today's population, there's a lot of variables that get out there. But if we could get the information for you on, because the first bond would be issued to be the fire department if it was to pass, what that would cost you. And then everything else is a kind of a projection based upon maybe population and home values. So, but we're not avoiding a promise. We just don't have that here.
So how did we get to the 283 per 100,000?
That's what I was about to ask.
I think you did it to yourselves by putting the dollar amount, which you did.
Yeah.
So
Was
on
that
the
based on
brochure-
what value of
you
a
put it
home?
on the brochure, so you open.
I didn't
it.
read the
Right
brochure.
here,
Right.
thousand.
283
we all
per
have
hundred.
that number.
per thousand.
You
Per
come up with
100,000.
283,000. So
That's
if
a high
it's a $300,000 house, then your increase in taxes are gonna be.
3 times that number.
3.
Is that, but that's
But
for
that's not-
all 4 bonds, not just for one. So that's for all 4. If they were all to pass, we're issued debt on all of them at once. Make sure I'm not misspeaking.
Controller Miles Walker here again. So there's a lot of different ways to divide a lot of different numbers together to get these different numbers, so it can be confusing looking at it. The way I got to that $283 number,
It's your number, right?
I did do the math on that, yes.
Miles.
So basically I took the estimated payments that would be required to pay off all 4 bonds if they were to all pass.
Simultaneously, issued debt at the exact same time.
Taking, not 1 year off, so starting in
Okay.
2024,
Okay.
then 1 and 5, and 6, 7.
Just make sure it's clear.
And dividing the need to pay off that debt by the estimated taxable value growth that Nick spoke to earlier, our conservative estimate of what our taxable value is going to grow, will give you the amount of taxes needed to pay off those bonds per the taxable value, and you can make that into a tax rate. And I subtracted our current INS tax pay that you're already paying under current tax bills from that to get a number that is the amount that the tax rate is going to increase and maximum. So I took the highest year of all of that, and that 1 year, the highest impact was 28 cents per $100 of value, which would be on a $100,000 home, $283 a year. So it's fair to say if you multiply that by 6.5, you would have a $650,000 estimate in that. That is a fair assumption. But that is just for 1 year. That's the 1 year that it hits the highest, and there are some charts online that kind of show you it ramps up in the beginning, and then over time it goes back down again. That's just the one highest year. That's a number other cities use. It's like an easily packageable number. It's very complicated to divide all of these things up and try to find one easy, thing to say. So that's the way that we decided to communicate it. But if you have more questions, I can leave some business cards in the back. You're welcome to email me and I can answer more.
I want to ask a question. This is James Clark, who lives in Hardeman Estates. So this is a bond the first year, then adding a bond the second year, and adding a bond the third year, adding a bond the fourth year. But does that take into account projected growth of the number of homes and everything?
It does, but
At what rate?
it varies every year. So I took the comprehensive plan, right? There's a number that in 2041 we're going to have 19,000 people. Going off the top of my head, I apologize if I'm a little off. I took that and said every year, if we added, what number of people would we have to add to get to that 19,000 in 2042? And I increased our tax base based on that percentage growth. So the highest percentage growth, I believe, was about 15% in the first year, and then it increases at a decreasing rate every year after that until we get to that $19,000 or 19,000 residents in the future.
There's not room for that in the city limits.
That's based on the comprehensive plan that was done with development and thinking about our space and ETJ space and everything that's potentially planning on being developed in the future. I think
That
that's
does
fair to
not
say,
take
Matt.
into account destination sales tax we can get pulled in. That's just city limits, because that's the only taxes we can really look at.
So that is where part of the growth comes from that. So that's basically accounting for the increase in homes that are going to come to the city. And I also did a conservative 3% on average every year for the current tax values increasing, like your home value you spoke to earlier has gone up. And we're being very conservative. I can't in good faith say we're going to go 30% growth every year, which we've seen the last 3 years. We've had 30% tax base growth. I can't project that out 30 years in good faith and say that's, really good estimate. So we're trying to be conservative and be realistic with what we've seen in the past, accounting for maybe downturns in the future, trying to just be conservative. And that's where we arrived at that number. But I understand it's confusing. There's a million ways to divide the same numbers and get slightly different numbers that are all correct, you could say, right? So the city's taken this one position on how to calculate it. And again, I'll leave some business cards in the back that if you have questions, you're welcome to email me and I'm happy to spend more time answering them because it can get a little complicated.
And you loaded your spreadsheet on our website so they can plug in the value of your home and a projection of annual expected
Yeah,
rate.
it's not broken out by proposition, but it is on the website that'll spit out an estimated tax that you would have
That's an all-in expectation.
for all 30 years of the bonds.
Is that helpful?
Well, so basically the 283 that he's saying, if that was the number per 100,000, you're looking at almost $2,000 in taxes a year for a 650,000 increase for a $650,000 home.
Which is my home, so I understand, but that's all in. Sorry. That's all in. That's been all bonds. We're not issuing all bonds simultaneously, and even the 1 year is aggressive. We can't meet that because we have to be far enough. It's more like 18 to 24 months. It'll get there.
But in
it's
6 years,
huh?
but in 6 years, that's the potential for somebody with a $674,000 home. That's the point. And when you're already
And as
paying
Miles said, that was
$4,000.
1 year, that was actually the highest year, but it does decrease. So
Okay.
that's the highest that you would see.
Go ahead.
Not to mention that. Will you stop turning this off?
Because I don't know your answer.
I'm always gonna jump in. Also, that is the maximum of each bond. It's not the actual cost that could be beneath that when we go to issue the bond. Because again, that was the worst case scenario, for each of the bond. So Councilman Mounts. This is your Mayor Pro Tem, Councilman Mounts, position number 3?
3.
Position number 3.
Which so incidentally is, I'm John Wesley Mounts III.
Well, there you go. Wesley.
Yeah,
I like it.
I was raised a Southern Baptist, and I didn't know for many years that there were 155 John Wesley Mounces in my line from the people that came over with William Penn, that were all Methodist, and I was a Baptist.
It's on.
SPM. Okay, I'm sorry.
Not that close though.
This is important. I guess it's timing is a good thing on it. The question I ended up with was why now? Why are we going to do this now? Look around you. Have you ever been down here with when during COVID, when Justin Youth Association organized basketball games for the kids? They had, I don't know how many kids in here, 140 kids in here playing basketball at a time when they couldn't do anything else, okay? They used this facility. Why now? Everything the police chief said about our police force is growing. Crime is growing in this city. We need more police, we need more facilities. Why now? Our city staff is growing. The more population we have that comes into the city needs more services. We're issuing water bills, we're having late payments on water bills. The number of financial transactions that go through this office every day is a long time away, a long way away from when I first came here in 1999, when the city population was, counting the armadillos and the skunks, was about 1,300, okay? And we could all do business around here. And I had a gentleman in my store the other day asking me, why now? And why such money? He said, I remember a time when this city could be run by 2 people. Well, he lives in a dream world. How many roads do we have now that we have to maintain that we didn't have? And we've done all this growth in staff and expertise, and we plugged it into the same place it was here in 1999 when I was here, when I first moved here. All that, why now? Okay, that's why now. Mayor Clark was telling me just a few minutes ago, the concrete slab for our City Hall building is gonna cost $3 million. $3 million. That's at today's prices. You know, had we not made the sins of the past, or we made better decisions back when we bought that property, that number would have been a lot lower if we'd have built it back then. And it's going to be a lot higher the further out we go. So, to me, it's a question of not why now, is why did it take us so long to get here? That's the problem we're dealing with. We're dealing with a fire department that's, their people are sleeping on top of each other. They've remodeled that fire department so many times, I think we've lost the version numbers. You know, our police department has grown. When I got here, it was a chief and 2 people. Okay? We didn't have people breaking into cars. You know, we didn't have neighborhoods being ransacked. We didn't have homeless people. We didn't have pass-through crime coming through here. We do now. Do you want the police department to go away? I sure don't. Do we want the fire department to go away? I sure don't. We just need to take care of business. We do not. Huh? I am. But that's why.
You get.
I think everybody's here is ready to talk.
Yeah, we've gone through most of the questions that we were handed.
I'm the one that answered that, or wrote that. Why now? Look at Roanoke. Roanoke didn't get a new city hall like that. They already had a Home Depot, a Walmart, and look at all the restaurants. And we're asking for this now? We don't have near that. I mean, and I'd like to say one other thing. Anybody here that's against this, don't forget to go vote and tell your neighbors. And then you're gonna be voting on Texas Proposition. Vote for Proposition 4 to lower our tax rate.
Yeah, we have lots of opportunities for sure on the next ballot. And I agree, regardless whether you vote yay or nay, please come out and vote. It's incredibly important. So did we go through all the questions? If so, I'd like to get to people. So here's how I'm gonna handle this. The same way you handled it before. We're gonna shut down at 8. That's about 30 minutes.
18.
Okay, so we have about 20 minutes. I'm gonna start here. I'm gonna sweep. You're probably first. And then I'm gonna sweep through until we get through everybody, okay? That's the best way to handle it. So I believe you had your hand up. When you say your question, I'm gonna try to repeat it to make sure I understand it for the video, then we'll answer it.
All right, I got 2 questions.
And what was your name?
Jeanette,
All right, Jeanette.
okay. Why, my question,
You
my
can
first
go
question,
take the
I
mic
got
there if
2
you want.
questions.
We're gonna get you a mic just so your grandkids can hear what you ask. Not that you have grandkids yet. Your great
My
grandkids.
first question is, why did you not look at a combined facility for the municipal complex, the library, and the public works?
All right, the question is, why did you not look at a combined facility for the municipal complex, the library, and the public works? Real estate. We don't have a single location where we have enough real estate to put all those in the exact same place. Is that?
And it also has to do with needs. So a public works building, it's gonna have equipment, heavy equipment, materials. So they're gonna have gravel, sand, all their pertinences for water hydrants, all their spare parts. That doesn't need to be at City Hall. So that's why we did look at combined facility. We are police and administrative offices, City Hall are in the same location. Community center, library, same location.
The second question I had is, what funds did the city require the developers and the builders of all these new houses to put up for these new facilities? I came from a community in the past that had 6,000 people in it, and in 10 years we were at 46,000 people. They made them put in schools, a new fire station, a police substation, these developers before they could ever start building a house. So what did the city of Justin do to help us save our tax money and make these people that are making $100 million plus do something for the community?
So the question, Cliff's Notes version of the question, but I'll make sure I get it all, is what did the city do to encourage or provide an opportunity for the developers as they invest in our town and they are making money off us to contribute to our needs as we grow? Is that fair?
Yes.
Is that fair?
Specific facilities though.
Specific
Fire
facilities.
department.
So, as mentioned before, Timberbrook donated several acres, plus all the property for the Jessup Elementary School is going to be out there. That stuff. We get impact fees. We get impact fees when a builder comes in here. We push hard for green space, park space. Plus, we recognize, again, like with Hillwood, what it's going to cost to provide services in those areas, and we're requiring those. And even outside of ETJ, they're $4 million plus coming in to do that. We can't fix what wasn't done in the past, the sins of our past, I like to call it. But we are working diligently moving forward. So we've asked for money towards the architect and the engineering for the fire department. That's unfortunately pretty expensive. So we've got that from Hillwood. We've asked for land for the fire department. That was provided for us by Timberbrook. The other housing additions before now, I wasn't mayor. These weren't your council people. We didn't have opportunity, but we know that. And so the sins of our past, we're asking for those things to help us move forward. We're also requiring or asking for some of these developers to provide commercial property along with their development. So that increases the commercial sales tax and property taxes coming in to also offset some of these things. So we're working hard to rectify where we have failed in the past. I think unfortunately, whenever growth first hits in these small towns like it does, you're disarmed. Just like we didn't want to grow, you're disarmed. All of a sudden, this person here, a legacy family sold 1,000 acres as a developer they sold it to. They want to do this. You're not educated. It takes a while to get educated. Well, we're educated. We're no longer freshmen. We're seniors, and we understand. So I appreciate it. We're working hard to ask for that.
So they didn't have to do it. Okay.
Right.
Just a comment, and I appreciate the time. It's been talked about the police and the fire. Thank you for your service. They do need to be fully funded, but I reviewed the financials that were approved for fiscal 2023, and I think that more work should have been done. The fire department's expenditure increase was 10.07%. The police, 1.48%. Yet administration was 35.4%, and development services, 44.35% increases. Those are way off. Police and fire need to have more funding. We're talking about them helping other communities. We need to have our police and fire fully funded, and administration and development services need to give up some of the money.
I couldn't agree with you more. Let me kind of explain why the differences. We did some studies on pay across the state with similar sized towns, and our employees were underpaid. Again, sins of our past. And we've had turnover because of it. So we're working slowly to improve and make sure we're paying rate. And so we've had to raise people up along the way. So it looks lopsided. It's because it was lopsided. We had people getting paid 20, 30% less than someone else in a like position just next door. And so we've looked at the budget and realized that, again, sins of our past, we're not paying our employees, our staff, what that job pays. And so we've had to slowly raise it up. Same thing with the fire department. You know, when you're looking at the budget, some of it is definitely paychecks, but it's the burden, the insurance, but it's also body cams, it's fire suits, it's everything that goes along with that. And we do, and we're working on it. But the reason it's so lopsided is simply because we were underpaying staff so much. We couldn't even get